Hello everybody, John here from the esports department going over the 4-game LPL LCK slate for tonight. We are back to 4 games, which I like to see. Um, some decent games on this slate. I think there's some ways you can get a little bit creative and still get some good names in your lineup here. We start off with RNG minus 350, 8-1 on the season, coming up against LNG plus 250, 5-4 on the season. RNG at 1896 GPM to the 1792. LNG, I think they're a team that's a little bit on the rise. I like Ale. I think Tarzan Icon is a pretty good mid-jungle duo. I think their bot lane's solid. But RNG's been on a bit of a tear this season. Way, arguably the best jungler in the LPL so far this season. I think we all kind of know Cryan's a bit of a monster. Xiaohu's made it work in the top lane. Ming, legend of the game. I think Gala is maybe not exceptional, but at least has been solid this season. So there are some slight skill gaps for LNG maybe. Ale's probably a better top laner than Xiaohu at the moment. Light is probably a better AD carry than Gala. Excuse me. You can't go towards LNG in any of the other positions, I don't think, even though, like I said, I think Tarzan Icon is a high upside mid-jungle duo. RNG, better in every stat except for first turret, I believe. LNG has the advantage in first turret. It's about a 500 difference at 15 minutes. LNG also has unfortunately been one of the least bloody teams in the league, which I kind of don't want to see from a Tarzan Icon team. I kind of wish they were willing to press a little bit more on that front, but RNG has been one of the bloodiest teams in the league, so I'm kind of interested when we hit projections to see where this matchup ends up. I would guess if LNG wins, it's like hugely scoring. No, no, they're not too high towards the top really. Really, Gala pops up towards the top there, but it's a bit of a drop down to Cryan, so maybe not as high as I might have expected for some of the positions. LNG just not really scoring a lot of points this year when they win. Obviously, RNG is the favorite. I think LNG might even be doing us a favor here by bringing down RNG's price. Like these odds aren't super crazy, so you're getting like Gala a lot cheaper than say someone like Jackie Love in our next matchup. They might do us a little bit of favor bringing down the price. I think LNG is definitely GPP playable. There's 100% a chance that they could win here. They're coming off, if I remember correctly, they're coming off a nice win. So they're definitely playable, but RNG makes, I think, a pretty good cash spot at minus 350, depending on how we see the projections playing out later. The next matchup's a little boring. OMG plus 700, 1-8 on the season, coming up against Top Esports, minus 1400, 5-3 on the season. Top Esports pretty much the best stats in the league. They're just going to crush OMG in absolutely everything, and I mean crush. It's like a 4,000 gold difference at 15 minutes. The Dragon percentage is 18%, almost 500 on GDM. Just monster differences. So obviously Top Esports is a huge favorite. I don't even think I'd go as far as playing OMG, especially with Top Esports at only 5-3 on the season. I mean, they're really going to come out prepared here. They need to get some wins. I don't even think I mess with OMG, and I'm a big fan of messing with teams that are in this kind of spot. But I just don't really foresee a good way for OMG to beat Top Esports. If you're in the $15, something that's a really big field, you could play a lineup or two of this and just try to take advantage of that, like 1% ownership or whatever you're going to get out of OMG here. But for me, it's trying to fit top if you can. They're very expensive, but trying to get them in there can definitely give you some value. Big numbers on the OMG side, 21.6 skill per win, 17.1 death per loss. Big numbers on the Top Esports side, 18.6, 20.5. Had to think you were going to see a lot of OMG and Top Esports at the top there, and you do. Admittedly, Jackie Love a full 17 points in the captain spot ahead of Knight. And so a big gap between the first Top Esports player we see and the second one. Big for 80 carries so far this year. Going over into the LCK, KT at plus 115, 5-6 on the season, up against DRX, minus 150, 7-4 on the season. Now, I have hated the LCK all year for this, because DRX is the most classic example. I don't know how many times a team that has clear stat advantage in the LCK has lost this season, but it's been a fair bit. Not like huge favorites like Damwon losing to someone, but in these types of matchups where like these teams are very close, but KT with 25% or 25 edge in gold per minute. They have the same dragon percentage. KT's a little bit better at 15 minutes. In spots like this where, I mean, the first blood, first turret's like an equal split, 3% here, 4% there. When I've had teams in these spots this year, and it has mostly been DRX has won most of those matchups. That said, KT as a dog here feels like they're in a pretty good spot. DRX's kill per or death per loss at almost 17 isn't bad. KT's kill per win is over 17, which is very good for the LCK. I don't think I would play if you think DRX is going to crush this matchup. I still don't think I would play them with a 14.7 kill per win into KT's 16.6 death per loss. It's pretty low. I'm expecting we're not really seeing them on this list much. They show up all the way down here. This is the first time we see them. Like 15th or something for their first person. So it feels like DRX is the full fade spot for me. KT, I might be looking at some KT team lineups, seeing if I can get some more LPL players with some KT with the KT team slot. Going all the way down to 4,600. It's not super cheap, but it might get you an LPL upgrade. We'll look at that in just a minute, because that seems like something that's definitely playable on a slate like this. The last matchup of the day, Fred Brion at plus 400, 3-8 on the season, up against T1, minus 650, 6-6 on the season. If I'm being honest with you, this just feels like a fade matchup. It's clearly hugely T1 advantaged in every position. 13% Dragons, 3,000 gold of 15. Almost 300 GDM. It's clearly hugely T1 advantaged. But T1, once again, is the second game of the day. We can't say for sure who their lineup is going to be. You can take reasonable guesses at who their lineup is going to be. They've been playing the owner, closer, Teddy lineup recently with Zeus. You could assume they're going to stick with that. But is it even really worth it when you're getting, you're playing into a 14.9 DPL team, and you'd be playing a team that's likely to just absolutely smash them, which tends to actually lower scores. So you're playing a hugely advantaged team up against a 14 DPL squad. It just doesn't feel like a great spot to be on T1. We do see Teddy being higher on the list than, like, say, Bao from Dragon X, but it doesn't feel like a great spot for T1 either. The LCK feels generally kind of bad to me tonight, except for KT Rolster and maybe specifically the team slot. If you believe Fred Brion could pull off an upset, Fred Brion might be, Henna. Pretty high expectation for Henna, we can see right off the top. But as far as ownerships for this slate, you got to think OMG is probably the lowest. And it's probably Fred Brion right on top of that. LNG should get some amount of ownership. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see T1 be pretty close to the bottom here. People might be starting to get a little too tricky and feel like they understand T1, in which case they could go up a little bit, but LNG's got to be a little higher. Top Esports and RNG are going to be the two top-owned teams, pretty much for sure. RNG might be higher. I think you'll see DRX be very highly owned. They're cheap, and they're probably going to fit with some of these other teams. KT should be reasonably high as well. It feels like, honestly, it might be something like T1 KT. And then, which team am I missing? Oh, DRX is already there. Fred Brion. My God, why am I spacing? Oh, LNG. I could see KT being higher, but people really like KT. I could see it being something along these lines. T1 might jump up the line a little bit. I just don't know how people are going to trust T1 and go to them after what we've seen from them this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see RNG first, but RNG Top Esports, I think, are likely your top two owned teams, unless DRX just perfect pairs with everyone, which we'll look at in just a second. If DRX like perfect pairs and makes it so you can play like mid captains or 80 carry captains of these teams, then you could maybe even see DRX be close to the highest owned team. Let's look at the favorites real quick. Royal, Top Esports, T1, and Dragon X. I'll get some of these players out of here that aren't playing real quick. Or at least that we don't think are playing. Okay, going by projection, in the top lane it is Xiaohu, King N, T1, and 369 actually coming last. That's very interesting because we have a lot of data on top esports and OMG. We have a lot of data on top esports winning, a lot of data on OMG losing. So to see him down there really says OMG's just not allowing points to the top laner at all. In the jungle, it's Wei, then Karsa, Owner, and Piosik coming last. In the mid lane, top esports and RNG back at the top. Cryan, Knight, Closer, and Solka in last. At AD carry, top esports and RNG at the top again. The LCK lagging behind. And at support, same thing. RNG. So RNG just your unanimous highest expectation team. A little surprised with them playing LNG, which is not, like I said, not really a fruitful matchup. I would have thought top esports would have been higher scoring, but pretty unanimously. People ask me sometimes, how can a team be like higher scoring when they're expected to get less kills? Because I'm guessing our model would tell you that RNG is expected to get less kills. Teams that tend to fight more around objectives and have higher kill participation end up with higher fantasy scores, even if they have lower kills. I know a lot of people already know this or have heard me talk about it, but teams like Invictus Gaming do a lot of 1v1 and 2v2 fighting, which doesn't give a lot of points to the team as a whole, versus a team like JDG last season, who all of their fights, like they never skirmished in the lane really. It was always a 5v5 in the river or a 5v5 around the dragon, a 5v5 in front of Baron. Those fights are worth a lot more points, so those kinds of teams tend to get a lot more points, and RNG is one of those kinds of teams. So I guess we can see why they're popping off here. So what happens with DRX? Because, like, I mean, really, we would like to play RNG top esports. I mean, it's pretty clear that those are the two highest expectation teams. Let's see what happens when we just do those two, but then we're going to do some Dragon X stuff too, because we have to figure out what's going on with them. So you can get a Ming captain with 3 and 3 of Royal and top esports. Kind of interested. Can we switch this over to top and switch one of these other ones? Like, can we go down to Cryan and up to top? Nope. Can we go down to, say, Gala? That's a 400 gap. Still not going to give us enough to go to top team, though. And only a 200 gap there. So even with Ming captain, you're not able to get 4 RNG. Unless 400 to go up there. You'd have to take out, if you took out Wei, put in Gala, and nope, still only 200 gaps, right? So like even if you did that, oh yeah, Ming's already in there, so we can't mess with that. Yeah, it still only gives us 5,700. The difference in the team slots is just, and that's kind of what I was talking about. So then what happens if we bring like KT Rolster in here, take out their players? Let's say we took out their players, rostered their team slot. How could we then fill it in? You could get 4 top esports with Ming captain. Sorry, just dropping that down to see. Okay, you can get 4. I was wondering why it wasn't giving us 4 Royal, because Royal was projected. It's because the min salary cap was set too high, so we can leave 900 on the table and play a Ming captain with 4 Royal. This makes a lot of sense to me, especially given what I think KT is possible of winning. I assume this must mean that we can't get a top lane captain even with KT Rolster. We can't even get Zhao Hu. Nope. Significantly short too. Like, you really have to play support. Support captain. Take the top 4 members of RNG, Jackie Love and Joao. That's interesting. That's a lineup I'm definitely considering for like a GPP. It's obviously not a cash lineup really. You can play the 3-3 of these two teams. Let me take KT back out of the pool for a second so that we can see what the actual number was. I can't remember. It was a 587.2. Now what happens if we play like RNG with Dragon X? You're getting like a 602 if you take top esports with Dragon X. a 583, so you wouldn't even consider this lineup because you can just play the RNG Top Esports one instead. RNG DRX seems like the one that gives you... This is the kind of lineup I think you're going to see a lot of places. Just trying to figure out if there's any way that we can get a fourth RNG player in here. If you downgrade the team slot, I mean, if you go back to the KT Rolster thing, you take out DRX team, you play, KT team slot. Oh no, you can't do that. They're playing against DRX. It's not from the other matchup. So you're gonna have to downgrade your captain to get 4 of somebody. What if we went down to like, is there a Cryan captain? 3-3. Is there a Way captain 4-2? Okay. Yeah, so if I was going to play these two teams in cash, I would play this. Rather than go with the 3-3, I would play the 4-2. Because I think DRX has it's significantly more likely that they lose. And so I'd like the minimum of them on my lineup if possible. But also RNG's just out projects at every position. So you can play the Way captain with Cryan, Gala, and Ming. I think that makes sense if you want to play the DRX version. It only clocks in at 596, but that's still better than the RNG TES version that we saw earlier. I'm not sure that I would play DRX in cash, though, but if you're considering playing DRX in cash, that makes sense. For me, I feel like it's probably going to be this RNG Top Esports one. Oh, why does it all of a sudden not have a lineup made? Didn't we just have a lineup made with these two teams? Oh, it's because I have Way Captain locked. Obviously, we can't play Way Captain with these. You'd have to play the 3-3, which I hate doing. Oh, no. Yeah, you have to because you can't get up to Top Esports team. Oh, that's so brutal. Could you maybe play, like, T1 team? How much does T1 team cost? 54. So if we switch this out to T1 team... and then switch, like, let's see, Cryan and Knight is like about a 2-point difference. Jackie Love actually outprojects Gala, so that's easy. You just switch Jackie Love to Gala. It actually makes Jackie Love like the worst value on the slate. I mean, it makes, yeah, Jackie Love, oh no, he outprojects Gala. So you'd rather get, my bad, I don't know what I was thinking. You want to go from Zhuo to Ming is what you want. What's happening? Oh, you can't do that either because you're playing Ming Captain. Oh my god, boys. I'm not here with it today. So you can play the Gala version. Jackie Love outprojects and Cryan outprojects Knight. So you actually would want to leave Knight off your lineup. And go with this. I think this is alright, actually. This might be what I play in cash. I think T1 is pretty safe. And their team slots should score pretty well, and this gets you a proper 4-stack of the highest expectation team. I think this might be what I end up running in cash tonight. Especially when I play these 4 and 5 game slates, I try to target the people who I have data on who play like 3 and 4 teams in these slates. And if your opponent's going to be playing 3 or 4 teams, like a mixture 3-4 teams, not something that's more solid like this, you're better off playing something very safe, I think, and this is a very safe lineup, I feel. So I think I'm going to end up going with something like this, and good luck to me on that one. So that's it for today, guys. A bit of a longer video. My brain not working correctly made it a little bit longer than it probably had to be, but in the end, I think I come up with this as something that I want to play tonight for that, and then for GPPs, I'm probably going to be looking to use that KT team slot, try to get something a little bit weird going on. So that'll be all for today, guys. I appreciate you. Good luck tonight. Talk to me on the Discord or on Twitter, and I will talk to you later.